Here we are going to see the vision current affair and topic is here the environment and in environment within the environment subtopic is biodiversity of area beyond national jurisdiction treaty, that is United Nations High Sea Treaty. And the question is why this is news. Here is the given why is in news. The news is in because the biodiversity of the area beyond national jurisdiction treaty or the high sea treaty has been adopted. And here given more on the news, more on the news, telling that it was adopted at the fifth United Nations Intergovernmental Conference on the Marine Biodiversity of the Area beyond national jurisdiction. And second point is telling that it has been adopted under the framework of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. So this point is also important. And in this within this point there is the other point is here, and that is the this point telling the issue of conservation of marine biodiversity beyond jurisdiction was raised in Rio Plus 20 summit in 2012. And second point is telling that in 2017 the UN adopted a resolution to provide for intergovernmental conference to frame legally binding agreement. And third point is the conference met for the first time in 2018. And other here is the third point. Here this third point telling that it is legally binding in nature, and it will only enter into force once 60 countries have ratified it. This point is very important. That is telling that it is legally binding in nature and it will only enter into force since 60 countries have ratified it. And next point here is telling that it is also referred to as the Paris Agreement for the ocean. Means it is also known as the Paris Agreement for the ocean. Next point is here telling that high ambition collision play a key role in the adoption of the treaty. And in within this point there is the sub point that is telling that it is an intergovernmental group of more than 100 countries. It is an intergovernmental group of more than 100 countries. This point is also notable. Second, in sub point is telling that its goal is to protect at least 30% of the world's land and ocean by 2030. India is also member of this group. Means India is also this member of this group, and its aim to protect the 30% of the world's land and ocean by 2030. And next point within this point is the next point, and that is the currently co-chair by the Costa Rica and France and by the UK as ocean co-chair. Means currently it is chaired by the Costa Rica and France and by the UK as ocean co-chair. Next point in here is a mention, and here is telling that the high sea are all part of the ocean that are not included in exclusive economic zone, territorial sea, or internal water of the country. Means the high sea are that part of the ocean that are not included in the exclusive economic zone, territorial sea, or internal water of the country. Next, here is the given the current challenge of the high sea. Means high sea. What are the challenge currently they are facing? Here is the given, and that point we should going to study. So let's see one by one what are the challenge of the high sea. First challenge here is telling that conservation of the marine biodiversity, and second challenge is telling that implementing the global commitment. Third challenge here is the given climate change, and fourth challenge given unprotected global common, and next challenge is marine pollution, and next challenge is economic activity, and this much I think challenge is here given. Yes, this much challenge is given. So here is the total six challenge are given. So let's see one by one. In challenge conservation of marine biodiversity, how the conservation of marine biodiversity is become a challenge for the of the high sea. Here telling that according to the IUCN, nearly 9% of the marine species are at a risk of extinction. Second, telling that implementing global commitment means implementing global commitment is a, one of the current challenge of high sea facing. The how this is a facing implementation of global commitment. Cunningham Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework Sustainable Development Goal 14 for conservation and sustainable use of the ocean. This is not very properly means implementing, and that is become a challenge. Next is climate change is also a one of the challenge of the current challenge of the high ocean. How this climate change is a challenge is telling that it has increased marine heat wave 20-fold. Means marine heat wave have increased 20 times, you can say, and this has led to the coral bleaching, harmful algae blooms. Means this heat wave is increasing, marine heat wave is increasing. This lead to the and this causes to the develop the coral bleaching, harmful algae blooms. Next challenge is unprotected global common. Unprotected global common they are mentioned, and how become unprotected global common is a major challenge of the high seas. Telling you only about 1% of these water are under marine protected area. Only 1% of the water are under the marine protected area. Next is marine pollution. Marine pollution also becoming one of the current challenge of the high sea. How? Telling that plastic waste make up 80% of all marine pollution. How many percent? 80% of the plastic waste make 80% of all the marine pollution. Example: Great Pacific Garbage Patch in the North Pacific Ocean. Next is economic activity. Economic activity is also becoming one of the current challenge of the high sea. How? Telling that activity like mining, fishing, etc. disturb the sediments and damage the breeding ground of the high sea. So this we have seen the challenge which is facing currently the high sea. Now we go to move to the another, and that is the here telling the challenge in implementing treaty. We have seen first we have seen the what is the challenge of currently facing the high sea, and now we are going to see the challenge in implementing the treaty. Implementing the treaty. Challenge in implementing the treaty. How? Challenge. in implementing, which are the become a challenge in implementing the treaty. The first here is the given funding and technology transfer. Funding and technology transfer is one of the challenge of implementing the treaty. Next challenge is unaddressed issue. Next challenge is negotiation and deadline. And next challenge is legally binding. And next challenge is exception. Here five challenge I have noted down. So let's see one by one all the challenge that is facing in implementing treaty times. First challenge telling that funding technology transfer. It tell that it how become its challenge. It telling that it has been not made mandatory for developed country. It has not made mandatory for developed country. Next is unaddressed issue, telling that this include mechanism for policing the protected area, protect that are assessed to be heavily polluting, and the resolution of dispute due to the conflict of the interest. Next is telling that negotiation and deadline. Negotiation and deadline is also one of the challenge in implementing the treaty. Telling that time period for forming rules, regulation along with implementation has not been provided. Next, telling that legally binding, telling that country may oppose it by blaming that it dilute their sovereignty. Next, exception. Exceptional means organization responsible for regulating activities such as fisheries, shipping, deep sea mining could continue to do so without having to carry out environmental impact assessment, and so this is become a challenge because they are carrying out without having a following the rule and follow the rule of environmental impact assessment. Now here is given way forward. Way forward here is given, and in way forward given implementation. First way forward is implementation, second way forward is cooperation, and third way forward given other initiative, and third is funding mechanism. So let's see how one by one implementation became the way forward. Telling that in implementation, it's rectify in implementation should be faster than other erstwhile global treaty. Then it's become a provide a solution. Implementation means implementation should be done in a faster way as other global treaty has done. Second is cooperation. How cooperation become a ideal solution, an ideal way for the challenge faced by the implementation of the treaty, telling that countries should cooperate with each other in implementation of provision of the treaty. Means if country should cooperate each other in the at the time of the implementation of the provision of the treaty, then this become a solution to the problem. Other initiative telling that apart from it, other initiatives such as sensitization drive need to be taken. Other telling that funding mechanism, sustainable approach should be followed rather than dependence on the developed country. Means funding mechanism should be solved by the program of the funding should be solved by the sustainable approach rather than depending totally on the developed country. So this I have seen the uh, broadly the what is have in current the biodiversity of area beyond national jurisdiction treaty and United Nations High Sea. United Nations High Sea. So here we have also to see. So there is the in block are given some means some important point like marine zone. What is marine zone? This also point we are going to see. Here is the given, and this is this all are the points we going to see one by one.